Amazing captains I've ever had a chance to coach. Cayla holds.
Okay, it's kind of long, but not as long as Peter's probably. So.
I have a question. I got a question.
Alright, well, my name's Cayla Holtz, if you don't know. I decided to make an all-in-one speech about being a senior captain, along with our coaches, Hansi and Peter. So I'll begin with our coaches. I remember getting the email from our previous coach saying that he would not be our soccer coach for the next season. I remember being shocked, upset, and nervous for what was to come. I thought my expectations for my senior year of soccer were not going to be attained. Fast forward a month or so, I remember our athletic director talking to me about how they think they found a good coach. He was born in Europe, and he has played a lot of soccer both in America and Europe. My mind immediately went to a young, athletic-built, brown-haired man with a European accent. And I was delighted to meet him. He was extremely nice, and he presented a great outlook for the team. I was, of course, skeptical of his niceness. I mean, this buff, goatee bald man could actually be this caring and friendly, I thought. I was proved wrong, though, throughout the season. Now Peter, standing in the fieldhouse gym during winter time, wearing his t-shirt, jeans, and being barefoot. He right away seemed personable. His calm voice and wise words made me respect him immediately. At the end of the open gym, he was talking to a few of us about how he had 5 daughters from Waukesha South, and how he knew them through soccer, church, and just from around. I remember walking out of that gym that night a little confused and questioning the legitimacy of these so-called daughters. The next open gym, though, the question of his daughters was brought up by somebody just as curious as me. He informed us that he just calls these girls that he is close with as daughters. I can honestly say I thought it was a little weird at the time that you called some random kids that you met your daughters. Once again, though, throughout the season, I was proved wrong with my original thoughts. These two coaches have given me the best senior soccer season I could have asked for. They exceeded my expectations and beyond. They both know and love the game so much. They both wanted the team to succeed so badly and cared so much for us. Their hard work was definitely not unnoticed by the team. There are a few moments that stand out in my mind. One was at trials when Hansi told us he had no feeling in his foot and that he wanted someone to kick his foot so he could prove to us he was not lying. No one would do it, so I stepped in to test out his theory. But he's right. He has no feeling in one of his feet. Another was when Hansi offered all the girls kisses at practice. We all loved him so much more after that. Hershey kisses at us.
Oh, jeez.
Hansi also did his Hulk Hogan voice, and the fact that he looks like him makes it even better. Toilet papering the coaches this year was fantastic. Although both of them ended up catching us in the act, we still had a great time, and I think the Waukesha police and Peter's parents appreciated it as well. When the coaches silly strung us and rode on our cars, that was actually the first time my car was ridden on, and I felt kind of cool. Like my car felt like by my coaches. The last day of practice, when Peter basically set up a festival for the team, he had water balloons, face paint, and little events set up. However, we surprised the coaches with their own already made 300 water balloons to get back to them for their silly string and little prank.
Oh, yeah.
Those are just a few memories. Soccer literally brings out the weirdest form of myself, but I can say that applies to many other girls on the team as well. Now back to my original thoughts on these coaches. With Hansi, throughout the entire season, he created an atmosphere that was positive and that allowed the players to feel that their thoughts were as valuable as anyone else's. He kept the mood at most games and practices at a good spot, so we were never too scared or uncomfortable. He was always understanding, whether it be the need and love of listening to music, all the way to players' excuses for injuries or reasoning for not being able to attend practices. He even doesn't believe in yelling. There's so much more I could say about you, Hansi, but I am going to stop with saying I admire your coaching ways, and I have to say that you were the friendliest and warm-hearted, intimidating man that I've ever met. the whole season when he always gave us the math and analytical view of point of soccer. He analyzed the game thoroughly and gave us the statistics like he showed for the elements that make up the game. He was sympathetic to the players and was easily approachable with any concern or comment someone could have. I remember him calling himself a mom one day, and I was so glad he said that. That descriptive word perfectly explains how he is as a coach. He unconditionally loved the team and each player, and he cared and wanted the best for everyone. You could go to him with a problem and hope he had the answer or solution to help you. He took everything one would say to heart and deeply cared to help. Peter was the mom of the team, and in no means do I mean that in a negative or insulting way, but rather a compliment. With all this being said, instead of thinking it was weird, like I first thought when I met him, I fully understand his use of the word daughters now. Because of his mom-like characteristics, it would only be appropriate to use the word daughters. As a person, Peter creates more than just a bond with someone, rather lasting connections and impressions on each person he meets. These two men, as coaches, complement each other so well. I wish I could have them as coaches for longer, but I have to remember to appreciate that I had them for an entire season, and other older places never got the chance to truly meet them. Thank you again, coaches. Sorry.
That's my girl.
All right, moving on to the experience with the team. After explaining what our coaches are like, I have to say this season was more than just a soccer season. Speaking for the team, this season was deeper, and the connections made with each other were just as important as playing the game. The coaches' characteristics allowed this type of season to occur, and I'm so grateful for that. Now, typically, in this situation, I would make an informal, silly speech about all the great times we had this year, because we did have many great times. However, due to the reasons of this year being more than just another soccer season, I realized I had to do more of a heartfelt speech. I truly would be upset with myself if I didn't share these things with everyone on the team. I normally don't like to show my emotions, and if you know me at all, you would know that. So this is pretty much a big deal for me. I'm telling you ahead of time I might cry, so bear with me. The first thing I would like to talk about is the first Ike game, when the goalie was injured and we all went over to the bench so we could all be by one another. We were all sitting down talking, mostly about the game, but we were all just in each other's presence. I remember looking around at each and every player, and it hit me. I thought I would do so much for them, my teammates. I remember thinking how much I loved this team. This memory is crystal clear, and that's obviously why I'm sharing it, because it stuck with me. After the game, I cried a little. We lost 3-2, but that's not why I cried. The sudden realization of how much I deeply care for the team, and this is my last year, whether I like it or not, to be with these girls is why. So I guess with all that being said, I love you guys. Another story? Lexi, Kat, Lizzie, and I were driving home from shopping for things to wear for the next day's theme for soccer that we decided on. It was surprisingly silent in the car with the music playing at a soft volume. Without realizing it, I said, "This is so much fun." Lexi, in the passenger seat, looked at me and said, "Are you serious or was that sarcastic?" I was taken back by that because I realized how unenthusiastic I sounded and the fact that we were literally driving home in silence when I said that. However, I was completely serious. I guess fun was a poor choice of word, but I was so happy at that moment. To take from the story is that it's the people you're with that make you happy. You can be doing absolutely nothing, but if you're with the right people, their presence is all that matters. This is a prime example of how I feel when I'm with the soccer team. I'm excited to go to practice, I'm excited to talk to you all, and I'm excited to just be in your presence. I have one more story. Sorry. The last game against Ike, when the game ended, I was trying to hold back tears. I didn't want to be the only one crying. I felt that'd be a little weird. But when the team came to a huddle, I realized it was okay to show my emotions. Most of the seniors were crying, if not all. This is fairly typical. Of my 4 years playing, it seems common for a couple seniors to cry at the last game. However, I saw juniors crying. I saw sophomores crying, and I'm not sure about the freshmen, but they both said something to me at the end of the game, which meant
She was crying.
okay, Lauren was. What I'm trying to get at is that this was not a normal season compared to others. Other years, seniors cried because it was their last game. This season, many people of all grades cried because it was the last game of us all being together. We were actually a united team ever and forever. These moments were so small, yet had such a powerful impact and meaning to me. Now these were important for me to tell you, because like I said, I'm not one for expressing my emotions. Nevertheless, I needed you to know how much of an impact this team and this year has made on me. You've all been a contributor to something that has changed me for the better. A high school soccer season. Sounds a little silly. A high school soccer season has impacted my life in more way than one. I would have never guessed. I would not change anything about the season other than getting hurt, but other than that, I loved each and every second of being with you all. For the girls that have another year or more, please appreciate every second of it. I hope to see you all around in the future, but you will all be sincerely missed. Thanks.